you know what you should do is, you should just pick a goal that you can chase. They would say, like, what? I said, well, how much do you weigh? I'm weighing 190 pounds, and I want to lower my body weight. I said, well, why don't you pick a goal like you want to go down to 170? And it is now March, and by August, when you go to the beach, you're gonna have a slimmer waist, less body fat, and you look leaner, and you can be proud of your body. I said, pick that goal. Oh, that's a good idea. I said, write it down, and then write down the sets you have to do to get you there, and the amount of reps you have to do, and the amount of life cycle that you have to run, and regular bicycle, and running that you have to do. Write all of this down, and then you mark it off. Every day you mark it off. That's what I did. To me, there was really that feedback that I see, a line being crossed. That means one set was done. It was a satisfying kind of a thing. The line was crossed off. The next line was crossed off. And so I tell people that, and then they just say, oh my God, this is, yeah, I'm gonna do that. That is such a great idea. Then they come back to me like a few months later, and they say, this worked.
Oh,
it was unbelievable, it worked, it was fantastic. And it really gave me a purpose. See, so that's what why it's important to have a purpose when you do things, have a clear vision when you do things, because then you don't have to look at it kind of like, I have to be really disciplined to do that, or I have to make certain sacrifices to do that, because then it just drags you into that direction and you just do the work. But the key thing again is have the clear vision, because then you never go to the gym and you say, the day I feel down a little bit, I don't know what it is all about, I don't know my life, I'm confused. No, because that means that you haven't even set up your training partner. The training partner was always responsible to challenge you at all times. So that was the thing. Kind of in a fun way, but I mean, there was challenge just so that you don't slack off, so you don't give yourself a break. Franco Colombo, who was my training partner, was responsible if I just blinked, that he said, well, let's pump up the day. The day I challenge you to a bench press competition, let's see if you can beat a 180-pound little guy. Let's see, and he would know how to push the buttons, because that's what the responsibility of a training partner is. So whenever people say, how can you be successful in bodybuilding or in lifting or in sports or in this, that, I always believe 100% in a training partner. We had a habit of, after we trained at Gold's Gym, that we would go and have lunch together. But we would watch each other. Yes, people would have steak and a hamburger patty and all this, but if someone had the bread with a hamburger patty, we would bust them right then and there. So if we were helping each other, again, this is the responsibility, I think, of a training partner, that you help each other, even though you may compete against each other.
What was the greatest sacrifice you ever made in your life, do you think? And what was the reward that you gained from it? What was the biggest sacrifice?
That is really the question, is it really a sacrifice?
Because you love it.
Exactly. To me, it's also a real question is the word discipline. Because I tell you, I felt many times that I'm not a disciplined person. But people always insist and say, oh, it must take so much discipline every day to get up, and every day you were in the gym at 7 in the morning and you worked at 9:30 in the morning, and then you went to college after that, and then you went this and this, and you worked in construction. I was like looking forward to getting up in the morning and looking forward driving to the gym and working out 2.5 hours, and then going down to the beach and taking a run in the deep sand and getting some cardio work done and all this stuff. I was looking forward to it.
What do you think is holding people back the most? How are you messaging these people, lighting a fire under their ass, trying to get them pumped up and on a new, better trajectory?
You know, this is simply to make people better and to make them recognize that they don't have to get stuck where they are, but they can change. Because every day is an opportunity of change. And so I want them to look at this book and to just say, maybe there's something in there that will motivate me to change and to get better, to improve myself. I don't have to get stuck in this. I can shoot for big goals. I want people to be aware of it, that you don't have to shoot for little goals, but you can shoot for big goals, that it is just as difficult to shoot for a little goal than to shoot for a big goal. And I want them to know that they shouldn't be afraid of failure, that this comes naturally in life. There will be failure and there will be successes. The important thing is that we learn from that, but not to be frozen and to fear that. I want them to know that they have to create a vision of where they want to go. Without a vision, there's just nowhere to go. It's just the way it is in life. You would just wander around without a mission, without the joy of chasing something, how much fun it is to chase something. So I want them to learn those basic lessons that makes you just more successful and better.
I hate plan B. And I tell you why. Because we have so many doubters, as I've said earlier, the no-sayers. We have so many of those people that say no and you can't do it, that's impossible. That is okay because we just turn off, as I said earlier, and we listen and we hear the no being a yes. You can't do it, you can do it, and all of that. So that is possible to do that amongst all the negative people around you. But when you start doubting yourself, that's very dangerous. Because now what you're basically saying is that if my plan doesn't work, I have a fallback plan, I have a plan B. And that means that you start thinking about plan B, and every thought that you put into plan B, you're taking away now that thought and that energy from plan A.
Sometimes we feel helpless because of where we're born, where we're from, our parenting structure, our surroundings. Some people struggle to have a vision because they say, well, how can I have a vision? Look where I am. And then some other people, they can't have a vision because when they see someone like Reg Park or Mr. Austria in your example, what they see is, oh, envy. I wish I had that, like, oh, why does he have that? Or maybe, I should have that. So I think we live in these two worlds where we either feel helpless or sometimes we feel envious and egotistical about visions. How did you allow yourself, or how did you develop that ability that even though around you there wasn't that much success, there was more stress, but you saw Mr. Austria and were able to do that? Have you ever figured out what that was compared to everyone else you grew up around?
I just can tell you I was very unhappy.
Yeah.
I was unhappy with the reality. The only way really was, in order to be happy, is to create my own world and to visualize. That's why people sometimes read a lot, because they want to escape into another story, or the day they watch movies to go and to see to escape into another story and all this stuff. For me, that wasn't available. I had to kind of create my own world. So I was just always daydreaming of wonderful things. So I developed that art, and it put a smile on my face.
Yeah.
So then clearly when I then saw Mr. Austria or Mr. Universe, and I saw these guys and saw photographs of it, and I read about it in the magazines, I created my vision. And I saw in that vision myself being up on that stage. And I saw myself, people screaming around me, and screaming, Arnold, Arnold, Arnold. And all this crazy stuff. It was all insane, crazy stuff. Stuff that I never shared in those days with anybody.
And it's very important to understand that we function better if there is no safety net, because plan B becomes a safety net. It says that if I fail, then I fall and I get picked up and I have something else there that will protect me. And that's not good, because people perform better when there's no safety net. People perform better in sports and everything else if you don't have a plan B. I'm telling you, I've never ever had a plan B. I made a full commitment that I'm gonna go and be a bodybuilding champion. I made a full commitment that I'm gonna be in America. I made a full commitment that I'm gonna get into show business and I'm going to be a leading man. No matter what it takes, I will do the work. I would do the work over and over and over until I get it. And the same was in politics, in everything like that. So to me, it is very dangerous to have a plan B, because you're cutting yourself off from the chance of really succeeding. And the reason, one of the main reasons why people want to have a plan B is because they are worried about failing. What is if I fail, then I don't have anything else? Well, let me tell you something, don't be afraid of failing, because there's nothing wrong with failing. You have to fail in order to climb that ladder. There's no one that doesn't fail. Michael Jordan said in one of his interviews, when they said, "You're unbelievable, you're the greatest basketball player of all times. I mean, tell me about that." And he says, "Well, you're just mentioning the successes." But he says, "For me to become the greatest basketball player, I missed 9,000 shots when I was playing basketball at the NBA games." So during these games that he was so successful, he missed 9,000 shots. Does it make him a failure? No. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all times, but he failed 9,000 times. Do you get it? We all fail. It's okay.
I just remember that I was sitting in a classroom in school. I was like 13 years old, 14 years old. The teacher would be where you are now, in front of me, teaching. And I would just slowly just look off to the side, out the window. There's all these green trees. And then all of a sudden I started seeing things. And I had a smile. It just was wonderful stuff that I saw. And all of a sudden I had a chalk landed on my forehead. So the teacher threw a chalk at me, kind of saying, "Hey, I'm here. I'm getting paid to teach you, to teach this class of 30. Why are you looking out the window?" Now, I couldn't even articulate that this, what you're teaching here, doesn't really blow up my skirt. It's like, it's not like kind of something that I'm interested in. What I'm interested in is what I just saw when I looked out there. Must be a reality. And I can make it a reality. So for me, the vision became a reality. So it was only then a matter of following through with the work to get there. And this is why in the book, one of the things I talk about is work your ass off. Because every single time when I had a vision about anything, I had to work my ass off. But it was pleasure. See, that is the great thing. When you go to work and you know exactly why you're working, then it becomes fun, a challenge. It's entertaining sometimes. And when you read that 78% of the American people hate their jobs, now think about that. I mean, that must be so depressing that you go, let's say you're working in some car plant and you do like, you know, kind of the same work, putting a window into a car over and over, you know, 50 times a day, every day, all year long for 30 years. I mean, it's tough. And so this is why it's so important that we really have a clear vision, so that you know where to go, and that wherever it is, if it is to become a great auto mechanic, or if it is to become a great teacher, or politician, or a high-tech engineer, whatever it is, but have a vision, and then you go after that and you shoot for that, because now every step of the way is going to be great. You know, when you pick a doctor, let's say, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a surgeon. A kid says to himself at the age of 15, well, from that point on, he knows all the classes he has to take already in high school. And then when he goes to college, he knows which university to go, what kind of classes he has to take. and then how long will it take him, and all of this stuff. So there's a reason for going to school rather than, oh, my parents told me that I have to go to college, and you just go to fulfill this obligation, but there's no goal.
Yeah.
That's what happens to a majority of kids today. They don't have the goal. And that's why they end up being one of the 78% that are unhappy with their jobs, and they wish they could change jobs, but then it's too late, because now you've created a family and you have to pay for your rent for the apartment, and you have to put food on the table, you have to provide money for the kids and for your wife and for the family and all this stuff. So it's really tough. So that's why so many people are really always looking for an answer or searching for an answer. How can I improve my life? How can I make it a little bit better and all this stuff?
What is not okay is that when you fail, you stay down. Whoever stays down is a loser. And winners will fail and get up, fail and get up, fail and get up. You always get up. That is a winner. That is a winner. I failed in bodybuilding. I lost bodybuilding competitions. I lost powerlifting competitions. I lost weightlifting competitions. I had movies that went in the toilet and that were terrible and got the worst reviews. And in politics, I remember I had many of the initiatives on the ballot, and we lost. My approval rating in California went down to 28%, and then it went back up again, and I won again the governorship. Hey, we all lose. We all have losses. This is okay, and this is why I say don't be worried about losing, because when you're afraid of losing, then you get frozen. You get stiff, you're not relaxed. You got to be, in order to perform well in anything, if it's in boxing or if it is on your job or with your thinking, is only happening when you relax. So relax. It's okay to fail. Let's just go all out and give it everything that you got. That's what it is all about. So don't be afraid to fail. So even though people came up to me and says, why don't you go and run for something smaller? You're never gonna make it. I ran for governor, and then 2 months later I became governor of the state of California. Again, because I had a very clear vision what I'm gonna do with California. So let me tell you something, visualizing your goal and going after it makes it fun. You got to have a purpose no matter what you do in life. You got to have a purpose. So that's rule number one, have a vision. Rule number two is, don't listen to the naysayers. Don't listen to the naysayers. Everything I ever did, the thing that I heard out of people's mouth was, that's impossible. That can't be done. Or no. I remember when I wanted to be a bodybuilding champion, including my parents and everyone else around me, said this is impossible. Why don't you become a ski champion? That's what they do in Austria. Or a bicycle champion, or do some track and field. You can't be a bodybuilding champion. That is exactly what I heard, and of course I proved to the people that it can't be done. So whenever someone said to me, it can't be done, I heard it can be done. When they said no, I heard yes. And when they said it's impossible, I heard it is possible. Because I am a strong believer. I'm a strong believer of what Nelson Mandela said, that everything is always impossible until someone does it. Well, I'm gonna be the one, I said to myself, I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna show it to them. Maybe it has never been done before. That's perfectly fine with me. But I'm gonna do it. And I did not listen to the naysayers.
What is your biggest personal success and what is your biggest personal failure?
Well, I think that my biggest personal success is to be able to do the things that I wanted to do, that I visualized them and turned them into reality. And I think my biggest failure, obviously, is my marriage thing, that from a personal point of view and from a professional point of view, I've had many movies go in the toilet. I've lost bodybuilding competitions and powerlifting competitions and all that stuff. So I had plenty of failures. It's always important to bring that up because people should know that you never will be able to go through life without failures. Failures make us learn. Failures make you stronger. Pain makes you stronger. So I think all of that is good.
Yeah, let's address both of those because it's so true. Like on the outside, like you said, people can say, so privileged, you met the presidents, you did this, you did that, all the wins. When I'm looking around this room, like everything's iconic, nothing's unrecognizable across the whole world. It's all recognizable. But did you ever feel the pressure when things started to go well of like, God, the next movie's got to be bigger and the next movie's got to be bigger? Did you feel that, or did you just you were just loving it so much that you just kept building, and if it went wrong, that it didn't hurt you that much?
I never really felt that much pressure, probably about anything, to be honest with you, because I knew what I wanted, and I never really fell for this thing of what did the people expect me to do. So I create my vision, and when everyone says it's impossible, I go after it with vengeance. It's like I go all out, 100%, and it gives me joy. And what is great about it is that every time that you accomplish something really big, you see and become aware of other things that are new challenges that you didn't even think about.
Yeah.
The same was also when I went into, not just in bodybuilding, they said no. When I wanted to come to America, when I wanted to go to America, they said it's impossible. There's no money that you have to fly even over there. You have no money when you go over there to live with. And what do you think, they're gonna wait for you? They have plenty of big bodybuilders over there. It was all no, and it can't be done, it's impossible. And I remember then that the same thing happened also when I went into the show business. Can you imagine, I was now a bodybuilder, I weighed 250 pounds, I was Mr. Olympia 6 times, I was Mr. Universe 5 times, and Mr. World and Mr. International. I won 13 World Bodybuilding Championships altogether, and now I said to the agent, the Hollywood agent, I want to get into movies. He said, that's funny, Arnold. I asked a studio executive, I say, I want to get into movies. I want to be a leading man. He started laughing. So they all say it's impossible. I said, why is it impossible? He says, because look at how big you are. You weigh 250 pounds, kind of stuff that I heard. They said, no, you see, it's impossible. And plus your name who can pronounce Schwarzenegger or something like that. No one can pronounce that, so forget about it, Arnold. This is the kind of thing that I heard. Imagine, you go from studio executive to studio executive, from agent to agent, from manager to manager, and they all said exactly the same thing. Now that's very encouraging, isn't it? But you know something? I didn't give a shit. I didn't. Because I believed that I can be a leading man. I believed that I could be another Clint Eastwood, or another Burt Reynolds, or another Warren Beatty, or whatever those characters were, Charles Bronson and so on. I believed that I could be those people. I said, there's enough room on that ladder that I can fit up there. And I looked back again and learned from what I learned in sports. In my case, in bodybuilding. It's all about the hard work that you put in. I said to myself, in bodybuilding, I worked out 5-6 hours a day. I'm gonna do the same thing now for acting. And of course, I went to college to study English. I studied voice, accent removal, acting classes, and all of this stuff, all day long. I worked and I worked and I worked. And within a short period of time, I made one movie called Hercules in New York. which of course went right into the toilet. But it didn't discourage me. I still had the same vision. And then all of a sudden I did Streets of San Francisco. I did Stay Hungry and Pumping Iron and The Villain. And then all of a sudden I was asked by Dino De Laurentiis and by Universal Studio, the biggest studio, to star in Conan the Barbarian. And after I did Conan the Barbarian, the director at the press conference said to the press, the director was John Milius. He said to the press, if we wouldn't have had Arnold, we would have had to build one. So think about that. The very body that they said can never be sold because the time is wrong. A few years later, I'm doing Conan the Barbarian, and it was the #1 hit at the box office when it came out in the summer of '82. Think about that. And the director says, if we wouldn't have had his body, we would have had to build one. So all of a sudden, my body became an asset, not a liability. And the same thing was with Terminator. After we were finished filming Terminator, Jim Cameron said to the press, if Arnold wouldn't have had that accent and talked like a machine, I think the movie wouldn't have worked.